Claire Bennett's car made a sound that no car should ever make, a grinding, shrieking noise that seemed to come from deep within the engine. Then it started smoking. "No, no, no," Claire whispered, gripping the steering wheel as the car shuddered and lost power. "Please don't do this. Not now, not here." But the car didn't listen. It rolled to a stop on the side of a quiet road in the suburbs of Boston, smoke billowing from under the hood. Claire sat for a moment, fighting back tears. In the back seat, her 5-year-old daughter, Emma, was sound asleep, exhausted from her first day of kindergarten. Claire didn't want to wake her, didn't want Emma to see her mother falling apart over a broken car they couldn't afford to fix. Claire was 29 years old, a single mother working 2 jobs, days as a medical receptionist, evenings cleaning office buildings. Her ex-husband had disappeared 2 years ago, leaving her with a toddler, an apartment she could barely afford, and debt from his gambling addiction that she was still paying off. The car dying wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a catastrophe. Without it, she couldn't get to work, couldn't get Emma to school, couldn't buy groceries or get to doctor appointments or do any of the 1,000 things that required transportation. And she had exactly $247 in her bank account. Maybe enough for a tow truck, but definitely not enough for repairs. Claire pulled out her phone to call for help, but her battery was dead. Of course it was. Because when things went wrong in Claire's life, they went comprehensively wrong. She looked around, trying to figure out where she was. She'd taken a shortcut through an unfamiliar neighborhood, tree-lined streets, large houses set back from the road, the kind of area where people had money and security and cars that didn't randomly explode. The closest house was about 100 yards away, barely visible through tall iron gates. It was massive, a stone mansion that looked like it belonged in a movie about wealthy people having problems Claire couldn't even imagine. Claire didn't want to knock on their door. Rich people didn't like poor people showing up asking for help. But she needed to use a phone, needed to call someone, needed to figure out what to do before Emma woke up, scared and confused. She got out of the car, checked that Emma was still sleeping safely, and walked up the long driveway toward the mansion. The iron gates were closed but not locked. A camera was pointed at the entrance, probably recording her. Claire felt like an intruder, but she kept walking. Before she reached the front door, it opened. A man stepped out. Tall, maybe 50 years old, wearing expensive casual clothes with silver hair and the kind of face that suggested he didn't smile often. "Can I help you?" he asked. His voice was neutral, not friendly, but not hostile either. "I'm so sorry to bother you," Claire said quickly. "My car broke down just outside your property. My phone is dead. I just need to use a phone to call for a tow truck, and then I'll leave. I promise I'm not trying to cause any trouble." The man studied her for a moment. Then he looked past her toward the road where smoke was still rising from her car. "You have a child in that car," he said. Not a question, a statement. "My daughter, she's asleep, she's safe. Bring her inside. It's not safe to leave a child in a smoking vehicle. I don't want to impose." "You're not imposing, you're accepting help. There's a difference." He gestured toward the house. "Get your daughter. I'll have someone look at your car." Claire hesitated. Every warning she'd ever heard about accepting help from strangers ran through her mind, but the alternative was standing on the side of the road with a broken car, a dead phone, and a 5-year-old who would wake up soon, needing dinner and comfort. "Thank you," she said quietly. She walked back to her car and gently lifted Emma out of her car seat. Emma stirred but didn't fully wake, just snuggled against Claire's shoulder. By the time Claire returned to the mansion, the man was on his phone. "Send Marco to the front gate," he said to whoever he was talking to. "There's a Honda Accord broken down on the road, smoking engine. Have him assess what's wrong and get it fixed. Today." He listened for a moment. "I don't care if the shop is closed. Call them and tell them it's for me. They'll open." He hung up and looked at Claire. "My mechanic will take a look at your car. Come inside." Claire followed him into the mansion, feeling completely out of place. The entrance hall was elegant, marble floors, artwork on the walls, a grand staircase leading to the second floor. This was the kind of home Claire had only seen in magazines. "I'm Vincent Moretti," the man said. "And you are?" "Claire Bennett, and this is my daughter, Emma." "How old is Emma?" 5. Today was her first day of kindergarten. Something softened in Vincent's expression. "Long day for her, then. Is she hungry?" "Probably, but I don't want to take up your time." "I was about to have dinner. You're welcome to join me. Or if you prefer, my housekeeper can make something for you and your daughter while we wait for news about your car." Claire wanted to refuse, but Emma was definitely going to wake up hungry, and Claire's pride wasn't more important than her daughter's needs. "That's very kind of you. Thank you." Vincent led them to a large kitchen that was somehow both professional and homey. A woman in her 60s was preparing food at the stove. "Teresa, we have guests. This is Claire and her daughter, Emma. Can you prepare something suitable for a 5-year-old?" Teresa smiled warmly. "Of course, Mr. Moretti. I'll make something right away." Emma woke up as they were settling into chairs at the kitchen table. She looked around with wide, confused eyes. "Mama, where are we?" "Our car broke down." "Sweetheart, this nice man is helping us get it fixed. Are you hungry?" Emma nodded, still looking uncertain about these strange surroundings. Teresa appeared with a plate of pasta with butter and cheese. Simple, perfect for a child. "Here you go, little one. Fresh pasta, just made this afternoon." Emma ate cautiously at first, then with more enthusiasm. "This is really good," she said quietly. "I'm glad you like it," Vincent said. He was watching Emma with an expression Claire couldn't quite read. Something wistful, maybe sad. Vincent's phone rang. He answered, listened for a moment, then said, "Understood. Do what needs to be done." He hung up and looked at Claire. "Your engine is dead. Complete failure. The car needs to be towed to a shop and will require extensive repairs." Claire felt her stomach drop. "How much will it cost?" "My mechanic estimates around $3,000 to $4,000. Claire couldn't breathe. She didn't have $3,000. She didn't have $300 spare. The car was going to sit in a shop she couldn't pay, and she'd have no transportation, and she'd lose both her jobs, and... "However," Vincent continued, "I'm going to have it repaired at my expense." Claire blinked. "What?" "No, I can't let you." "You're not letting me do anything. I'm making a decision to help someone who needs help. The repairs will be completed by tomorrow evening. You can pick up your car then." "Why would you do this for a stranger?" Vincent was quiet for a moment. "Because I can. And because a long time ago, someone helped me when I needed it. I've been trying to pay that forward ever since." Emma was watching the conversation, confused but sensing her mother's distress. "Mama, is the car going to be okay?" "Yes, baby. Mr. Moretti is helping us fix it." "That's nice," Emma said, returning to her pasta. Vincent stood. "I'll arrange for a car to take you home. Where do you live?" "Dorchester, but I can call a cab." "You'll ride in one of my cars. It's safer and more comfortable than a cab, especially with a child." 20 minutes later, Claire and Emma were in the back of a luxury sedan being driven by a professional driver. Emma fell asleep again, almost immediately, exhausted from her long day. The driver, a quiet man who'd introduced himself as Paul, pulled up outside Claire's apartment building in a neighborhood that was decidedly not the kind of place people like Vincent Moretti visited. "Thank you," Claire said, "for the ride, and please thank Mr. Moretti again for his help." "He asked me to give you this," Paul said, handing her a card. "He said to call him when you need to arrange pickup of your vehicle." Claire took the card. Vincent Moretti, with a phone number and an address. Nothing else, no business title, no company name. As Claire carried sleeping Emma upstairs to their small apartment, she wondered who Vincent Moretti really was, and why someone so wealthy would help a stranger with a broken car without asking for anything in return. What would you have done? Would you have accepted help from a powerful stranger, or would you have been too suspicious of his motives? The next day, Claire's mind was spinning as she tried to figure out logistics. Without her car, she'd taken the bus to work, a trip that normally took 15 minutes but now took over an hour with transfers. She'd had to drop Emma at her neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez's apartment before school, adding another complication to her already complicated morning. At lunch, she Googled Vincent Moretti on her phone. The results were complicated. Vincent Moretti, 52, was listed as a Boston businessman with interests in construction, waste management, and commercial real estate. His companies appeared legitimate. Proper business registrations, no obvious red flags. But there were also articles with headlines like, "Alleged organized crime figure expands business empire," and "Is Vincent Moretti the new face of the Boston Mafia?" Claire's stomach tightened. The articles were heavy on speculation and light on facts. Law enforcement had investigated Vincent multiple times but never charged him with anything. Former employees praised him. Business partners described him as tough but fair. Some articles mentioned his family history. His father and grandfather had been connected to organized crime in Boston. Vincent had taken over family businesses 20 years ago and supposedly cleaned them up, transitioning from illegal operations to legitimate enterprises. But the reputation followed him. People assumed he was still connected to the Mafia because of his family name and because he operated in industries that had historically been controlled by organized crime. Claire closed her browser, feeling conflicted. Vincent had been nothing but kind to her and Emma. He'd helped them without asking for anything in return. But if he was connected to organized crime... Her phone rang. An unknown number. Hello? Claire, this is Vincent Moretti. Your car is ready. When would you like to pick it up? Already? You said tomorrow evening. The shop worked late to finish it. You can get it any time after 5 p.m. today. I'll have Paul drive you to the shop. Mr. Moretti, I need to ask you something. Go ahead. Why are you helping me? You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. This feels too generous, and I need to understand what you expect in return. Vincent was quiet for a moment. Come to my house when you pick up your car. I'll explain everything. And Claire, I don't expect anything in return, but I understand why you'd be suspicious. We'll talk. At 5:30 p.m., after a frantic arrangement where Mrs. Rodriguez agreed to watch Emma for 2 hours, Paul picked up Claire in the same luxury sedan. They drove to an auto shop in a nice part of town, the kind of place that probably charged $150 just to look at your car. The mechanic greeted Paul like an old friend. All fixed. Up, the mechanic said, gesturing to Claire's Honda. New engine, new transmission fluid, replaced the radiator. She'll run smooth for years now. How much do I owe? Claire asked, even though she knew the answer would be devastating. It's been taken care of. How much was it? The mechanic hesitated. Ma'am, Mr. Moretti gave very specific instructions. I want to know how much he paid. $4,200. Claire felt lightheaded. Vincent had spent $4,200 on a stranger's car. That was more than 2 months of her salary. Can you follow us back to Mr. Moretti's residence? Paul asked. He'd like to speak with you. Claire drove her newly repaired car, which ran better than it had in years, following Paul's sedan through Boston suburbs until they reached the mansion with the iron gates. Vincent was waiting in his driveway. He'd changed from yesterday's casual clothes into a business suit, looking every inch the successful businessman the articles described. Come inside, he said. We'll talk. Claire followed him into an office with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, comfortable leather chairs, and windows overlooking a garden. You wanted to know why I'm helping you, Vincent said. It's a fair question. Sit. I'll explain. Claire sat. 25 years ago, Vincent began, I was 27 years old, trying to run businesses my father had left me when he died. Some of those businesses were legitimate, others weren't. I was drowning. Too young, too inexperienced, being pulled in directions I didn't want to go. He paused. My car broke down on the side of the road. I didn't have money to fix it because everything I had was tied up in legal fees and business debt. A stranger stopped to help, a man named Robert Chen. He was a mechanic. He fixed my car right there on the roadside, wouldn't take payment, said he remembered being young and broke and someone had helped him once. Vincent looked directly at Claire. That small kindness happened at exactly the moment I needed to see that not everyone in the world operated by taking advantage of others. Robert Chen didn't know who I was or what I was trying to become. He just helped because he could. What happened to him? We became friends. He became my mechanic, then a business advisor. He helped me transition my family's businesses from criminal operations to legitimate enterprises. He died 3 years ago. Heart attack. Vincent stood and walked to the window. Before he died, Robert told me to pay forward what he'd done for me, to look for people who needed help and help them without expecting anything in return. When I saw your car broken down outside my property, with smoke coming from the engine and a child sleeping in the back seat, I saw myself 25 years ago, desperate, struggling, needing help. So you fixed my car because someone fixed yours? I fixed your car because Robert Chen taught me that the most powerful thing you can do with success is share it. Money means nothing if you only use it to accumulate more money. But money used to help someone who's struggling? That changes lives. Claire felt tears forming. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me, but if you want to pay it forward someday, help someone else when they're struggling. That's how Robert's kindness keeps spreading. One person helping another, who helps another, until there's a whole chain of people lifting each other up. Mr. Moretti, I Googled you. There are articles that say you're connected to organized crime. Vincent smiled slightly. I wondered if you'd look me up. What did you find? Speculation? Suspicion? But no actual proof of anything illegal. That's accurate. My father and grandfather were involved in organized crime, I inherited their businesses and spent 10 years cleaning them up, selling off illegal operations, investing in legitimate enterprises, cutting ties with criminal organizations. It wasn't easy, and it made me a lot of enemies who thought I was betraying family tradition. But the reputation remains. The reputation remains because I still operate by certain codes they see as old-fashioned. Loyalty, protecting my employees, keeping my word. Some law enforcement officials assume that's cover for criminal activity. They're wrong, but I can't control their assumptions. Are you asking me to work for you? Is that what this is about? No, I'm not asking you for anything, but I am going to make you an offer, and I want you to think about it carefully before you answer. Claire waited. I looked into your background. I hope you'll forgive the invasion of privacy, but I wanted to understand your situation. You work 2 jobs, barely make ends meet, support your daughter alone, and you're still paying off debt your ex-husband left you with. How do you know all that? Because I have resources most people don't, and because I wanted to make sure I understood what kind of help would actually be useful rather than just throwing money at a problem. He sat back down. Here's what I'm offering: a job. A real job, not a pity position. I own several legitimate businesses. One of them is a property management company that handles commercial real estate. We need an office manager, someone organized, responsible, good with people. The salary is $65,000 a year, plus health insurance and benefits. Claire's current jobs combined paid her about $38,000 a year with no benefits. Why me? She asked. You don't know me. I have no experience managing offices. You manage 2 jobs, a 5-year-old, a tight budget, and an impossible schedule. That tells me you're organized and resourceful. And yesterday, when your car died and your phone was dead and everything was going wrong, you didn't panic. You found a solution. That's the kind of person I want working for me. What would I actually do? Oversee daily operations of the property management office. Handle tenant relations, coordinate maintenance requests, manage scheduling for our maintenance crew, work with our accounting team on rent collection and expense tracking. It's real work that needs to be done, not a charity position. Claire's mind was racing. $65,000 a year. Health insurance for her and Emma. Normal working hours instead of the exhausting double job schedule. The ability to actually see her daughter, to be present for school events and bedtime routines. I need to think about this, she said. Of course. Take all the time you need. But Claire, I want to be clear about something. If you take this job, you'll be working for someone with a complicated reputation. People might make assumptions about you because of your association with me. I can't change that. But the job itself is legitimate, completely legitimate, everything documented, taxes paid, all legal and above board. The FBI has investigated my businesses multiple times. They've never found anything illegal, because there's nothing illegal to find. Can I ask you something personal? Go ahead. Do you have children? Vincent's expression changed. Something painful crossed his face. I had a daughter, Sophia. She died 10 years ago. Car accident. She was 16. I'm so sorry. When I saw Emma yesterday, sleeping in your car, she reminded me of Sophia at that age. That's part of why I wanted to help. Every time I can help a child have a better life, it feels like honoring Sophia's memory. Claire understood then. This wasn't just about paying forward Robert Chen's kindness. It was about a father who'd lost his daughter and was trying to find meaning in that loss by helping other children. I'll take the job, Claire said. Not because of the salary, though that certainly helps, but because I think you're a good person trying to do good things, and I want to be part of that. You're sure? I'm sure. Vincent smiled, a real smile that transformed his usually serious face. Then welcome aboard. Can you start Monday? Claire's first day at Moretti Property Management was both overwhelming and surprisingly normal. The office was in a nice building in downtown Boston with a team of 12 people who managed over 50 commercial properties across the city. Her predecessor had retired after 20 years, and the office was in desperate need of reorganization. Claire threw herself into the work. She created new filing systems, implemented scheduling software that actually worked, improved communication between the maintenance team and the office staff, and established protocols for handling tenant complaints efficiently. Her coworkers were initially suspicious of her. She'd been hired directly by Mr. Moretti without going through normal channels, which made people assume she was connected to him somehow, maybe a relative or a friend's daughter. But Claire's competence won them over. Within 2 weeks, the office was running more smoothly than it had in years. Within a month, Tenant complaints had decreased significantly because issues were being addressed faster. Vincent stopped by the office occasionally, always professional, always checking on operations without interfering. Claire noticed how the staff responded to him, with respect but also wariness, as if they were never quite sure what to expect. One afternoon, 2 men in suits appeared at the office, asking to speak with Claire privately. They showed FBI badges. "We're investigating Vincent Moretti's business operations," one agent said. "We'd like to ask you some questions about your employment here." Claire's heart pounded, but she kept her voice steady. "What would you like to know?" "How did you come to work for Mr. Moretti?" "My car broke down near his house. He helped me get it fixed and offered me a job." "That seems unusual. Why would he hire someone he'd just met?" "You'd have to ask him, but I can tell you that I went through a standard employment process, background check, paperwork, everything properly documented." "Has Mr. Moretti ever asked you to do anything illegal? Handle money that didn't go through proper channels, falsify documents, anything like that?" "No, never. Everything I do here is completely legitimate. We manage properties, collect rent, coordinate maintenance. It's all documented and legal." "Has he asked you to lie to law enforcement if we came asking questions?" "No. He's never suggested I do anything dishonest." The agents asked more questions, but Claire's answers remained consistent. Everything at the property management company was legal and properly documented. She had no knowledge of any illegal activities. After they left, Claire called Vincent. "FBI agents just questioned me about your businesses." "I know. They contacted me first. I should have warned you they might show up." "They seemed disappointed that I didn't have anything illegal to report." "They're always disappointed. They keep investigating because my last name is Moretti, and they assume I must be hiding something. But there's nothing to hide." "How are you handling it?" "I'm fine. Just wanted you to know it happened." "Thank you for calling. And Claire, if they come back with more questions, answer honestly. Don't hide anything or lie to protect me. The truth is the best protection for both of us." Over the next 6 months, Claire's life transformed completely. With her new salary, she'd paid off a significant portion of her debt. She'd moved to a safer apartment in a better neighborhood. Emma was thriving in school, and Claire was actually present for parent-teacher conferences and school events instead of always working. She'd also discovered that Vincent's generosity extended beyond just her. He regularly helped employees with unexpected financial crises: medical bills, car repairs, family emergencies. He paid for several employees' children to attend better schools. He'd even set up a college fund for the teenage daughter of one of his maintenance workers. "Why do you do all this?" Claire asked him one day when she was reviewing the company's charitable contributions. "Because I can, and because taking care of people who work for me is the right thing to do." Most business owners don't think that way. Most business owners see employees as expenses on a balance sheet. I see them as people who help me succeed and who deserve to be treated accordingly. "Is that part of your family's code? Loyalty and taking care of your people?" Vincent smiled. "Yes, but it's also just good business. Employees who feel valued work harder, stay longer, and help the business succeed. It's not charity, it's smart investment." But Claire had also learned that Vincent's world was more complicated than she'd initially understood. She'd noticed men in expensive suits occasionally meeting with Vincent at the office. Meetings that happened in his private office with the door closed, conversations that stopped when anyone approached. She'd seen Vincent take phone calls where his expression went cold and his voice took on an edge she rarely heard. Conversations where he said things like, "That's not acceptable," and "make sure they understand the consequences," in a tone that made Claire's skin prickle. And she'd observed how certain people treated Vincent with a combination of respect and fear that went beyond normal business relationships. One evening, Claire was working late when she overheard a conversation she probably wasn't supposed to hear. Vincent was in his office with 2 men Claire had seen before, both in their 40s, both wearing expensive suits, both with the kind of hard eyes that suggested they'd seen violence. "The union is causing problems," one man said. "They're threatening to strike unless we meet their demands." "What are their demands?" Vincent asked. "Higher wages, better benefits, job security guarantees." "Are their demands reasonable?" "Some of them, but if we give in completely, it sets a precedent." "Then give them what's reasonable and negotiate on the rest. I don't break strikes with violence or intimidation. We negotiate fairly or we find a different solution." "Some of the other families would just—" "I'm not other families," Vincent interrupted, his voice hardening. "We handle labor disputes through negotiation, not threats. If the union has legitimate grievances, we address them. If they're being unreasonable, we make a fair counteroffer. But we don't threaten workers or their families. Ever." Is that clear? Yes, Mr. Moretti. After the men left, Claire knocked on Vincent's office door. I couldn't help overhearing part of that conversation, she said. The part about labor disputes. Vincent didn't look surprised. You're wondering if I'm involved in organized crime. I'm wondering what other families means. Vincent gestured to a chair. Sit. I think it's time I gave you the complete picture. Claire sat. My grandfather was a captain in the Boston Mafia, Vincent began. My father rose to become a boss of one of the 5 families that controlled organized crime in New England. I grew up in that world. The violence, the illegal businesses, the code that valued loyalty above law. When my father died, and I inherited his position, I was 25 years old. I didn't want that life. I didn't want to spend my life looking over my shoulder, waiting for rivals to kill me or FBI agents to arrest me. So I made a choice. What choice? To transition the family businesses from criminal to legitimate, to keep the parts that were legal, the construction company, the waste management contracts, the commercial real estate, and sell off or shut down everything illegal. How did other crime families react to that? Some thought I was weak. Some thought I was betraying my family's legacy. A few tried to take advantage of what they saw as my softness, but I established boundaries. I made it clear that while I wasn't continuing criminal operations, I also wasn't going to be pushed around or disrespected. Did that involve violence? Vincent met her eyes. I've never ordered anyone killed. I've never broken anyone's legs or burned down their business, but I have made it very clear that there are consequences for crossing certain lines. Reputation matters in my world, Claire. The threat of consequences is often more effective than actual violence. So you still have connections to organized crime? I have relationships with people who are connected to organized crime. I mediate disputes between families when they ask. I provide advice to people trying to go legitimate like I did. But I don't participate in illegal activities, and I don't allow my businesses to be used for illegal purposes. The FBI doesn't believe that. The FBI sees a man named Moretti who operates in industries historically controlled by organized crime, and they assume I'm lying about being clean. They investigate, find nothing illegal, then assume I'm just good at hiding it. It's frustrating, but I can't control their perceptions. Claire absorbed this. Why are you telling me all this? Because you work for me and you deserve to know the truth about who you're working for. If this makes you uncomfortable, if you want to leave, I'll understand. I'll give you a good reference and help you find other employment. Claire thought about it. 6 months ago, she'd been drowning financially, working 2 jobs, watching her daughter suffer from lack of attention. Now she had financial stability, time with Emma, and meaningful work she was good at. Yes, Vincent had connections to a world that made her nervous, but he'd also shown her nothing but kindness and integrity. He'd helped her without asking for anything in return. He treated his employees well. He refused to use violence to solve problems. I'm not leaving, Claire said. Whatever your history is, whatever connections you have, you've been nothing but good to me and Emma. I trust you. Vincent looked relieved. Thank you. That means more than you know. 1 year after Claire's car broke down outside Vincent's estate, her life had changed so completely she sometimes barely recognized it. She'd been promoted to director of operations for all of Vincent's property management holdings. She was earning $85,000 a year. She'd paid off all her debt. Emma was thriving in a good school, taking dance classes Claire could now afford, making friends, being a happy kid instead of a worried one. But more than financial stability, Claire had found something unexpected: purpose. She'd discovered she was good at management, at problem solving, at building systems that worked. And Vincent had encouraged her growth, paying for management training courses, giving her increasing responsibility, treating her like a valued partner rather than just an employee. She'd also become friends with Vincent, real friends, beyond the employer-employee relationship. They had dinner occasionally, always with Emma present, always appropriate and respectful, where they talked about life, about parenting, about the complicated balance between ambition and ethics. Vincent had become Emma's unofficial uncle. He remembered her birthday, showed up to her school play, gave her advice about dealing with mean kids in her class. The relationship was genuine and sweet, and Claire knew it was healing something in Vincent's heart that had been broken when his daughter died. One evening, Vincent invited Claire to his house for dinner. When she arrived, the dining room was set for 3, her, Emma, and Vincent. Over pasta that Teresa had made, Emma's favorite, Vincent said, "I have something I want to discuss with both of you." "Both of us?" Claire asked. "Emma's 7. This affects Emma too, so she should be part of the conversation." "Emma, looked up from her pasta, curious. "I've been thinking about the future," Vincent said. "About what happens to my businesses when I'm gone. I don't have children to pass them to. I don't have family I trust to maintain what I've built." He looked at Claire. "I want to make you a partner in my businesses. 20% ownership across all my holdings. It would make you a wealthy woman, but more importantly, it would give you a stake in ensuring these businesses continue operating ethically and successfully." Claire couldn't speak. "I know this is a lot," Vincent continued, "but over the past year, you've proven yourself to be smart, capable, and most importantly, someone who shares my values about how to treat people. I trust you to help lead these businesses in a direction I'd be proud of." "Vincent, I don't know what to say." "Say you'll think about it. I'm not asking for an answer tonight." Emma, who'd been listening carefully, said, "Does this mean Mr. Vincent is going to be our family now?" Claire looked at her daughter, then at Vincent. "We're already family," Vincent said gently to Emma. "This just makes it official in a business way." "Like how Mama's boss is also our friend?" Emma asked. "Exactly like that." After dinner, when Emma was playing in Vincent's garden under Teresa's watchful eye, Vincent and Claire talked seriously. "Why are you really doing this?" Claire asked. "You barely know me." "I know you well enough. I know you're honest when lying would be easier. I know you work hard even when no one's watching. I know you put your daughter's needs before your own. And I know you see employees as people, not just labor costs. But 20% ownership, that's millions of dollars. It's also insurance. If something happens to me, I want to know my businesses will be run by someone who won't exploit workers or cut corners or turn them back into criminal enterprises. You're that someone. What if I fail? What if I make mistakes? You'll make mistakes. Everyone does. But you'll make them honestly and you'll fix them when you can. That's all anyone can ask." Claire looked out at Emma playing in the garden, her daughter who was happy and secure, who didn't worry about money or safety anymore, who had opportunities Claire had never dreamed of providing. "I accept," Claire said. "Not because of the money, though I won't pretend that doesn't matter, but because you've given me and Emma a chance at a better life, and I want to help you build something that gives other people the same chance." Vincent smiled. "Then let's do it." The partnership was formalized over the next month. Lawyers drew up contracts. Accountants explained finances. Claire learned exactly how extensive Vincent's business holdings were, not just the property management company, but construction firms, waste management contracts, commercial real estate across New England. She also learned the full truth about Vincent's net worth. He was wealthy beyond anything Claire had imagined. Not billionaire wealthy, but certainly wealthy enough that money was never a concern. "What am I supposed to do with all this?" Claire asked, overwhelmed by financial statements showing her new ownership stake. "You're supposed to help me run it," Vincent said. "Make good decisions, treat employees fairly, build something sustainable, and someday when you're ready, help me find other people worth investing in. People like you were a year ago, struggling and deserving better. You want me to pay it forward. I want us to pay it forward. Together." Over the next year, Claire grew into her role as Vincent's partner. She learned the businesses inside and out. She made decisions about operations, hiring, and strategy. She also started identifying employees who deserved advancement, people who were talented but overlooked, who needed mentorship or opportunity. One day, Claire noticed one of their maintenance workers, a woman named Maria, consistently going above and beyond. Maria fixed problems before they were reported, took initiative to improve properties, and treated tenants with respect. Claire pulled Maria's file. She was 32, a single mother of 2, working maintenance while taking online college classes in property management. Claire called Maria into her office. "I've been impressed with your work," Claire said. "You go beyond what's required." "Why?" Maria looked nervous. I want to do a good job. And I'm studying property management, so I try to think about what would make properties better, not just what I'm told to fix." "What's your goal, long term?" "To be a property manager someday. To not have to work maintenance forever. Not that there's anything wrong with maintenance, but I want to use my education, you know?" Claire knew. She knew exactly what Maria was feeling. "How would you feel about a promotion? Assistant property manager. You'd work with me, directly, learn the business, get experience that would prepare you to manage properties on your own." Maria's eyes widened. Seriously. You're talented, hardworking, and you care about doing things right. That's what I value." "Why me?" "Because a year and a half ago, someone gave me a chance I didn't expect. Now I'm giving you one." When Claire told Vincent about promoting Maria, he smiled. "You're learning. This is exactly what I hoped you'd do. See talent and develop it." She reminds me of myself, working hard, trying to build a better life for her kids, deserving an opportunity. Then you know exactly how to mentor her. You've lived what she's living. 3 years after her car broke down, Claire was a successful businesswoman, Vincent's partner, and a mentor to several young women she'd identified as deserving advancement. Emma was 8 years old, thriving in school, taking dance and piano lessons, and treating Vincent like the grandfather she'd never had. Claire's life bore no resemblance to the desperate struggle it had been 3 years ago. She lived in a nice house, in a good neighborhood. Emma attended an excellent private school. Claire had savings, security, and a future that looked bright. But the most important change wasn't financial, it was how Claire saw herself. She'd gone from someone who could barely survive to someone who helped others thrive, from someone who accepted help desperately to someone who provided help generously. One evening, Claire was driving home from work when she saw a car on the side of the road, smoke coming from the engine. A woman stood beside it looking panicked while 2 small children cried in the back seat. Claire pulled over. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Do you need help?" The woman looked at her with tears in her eyes. "My car died. My phone is dead. I don't know what to do." Claire smiled. "I've been exactly where you are. Let me help." She called Vincent's mechanic, arranged for the car to be towed and repaired, and drove the woman and her children home. As they drove, the woman explained she was a single mother, working 2 jobs, barely making ends meet. "I know what that's like," Claire said, "and I promise it can get better. It did for me." She gave the woman her business card. "Call me tomorrow. I might have a job opportunity for you if you're interested." After dropping the woman off, Claire called Vincent. "I just found someone," she said. "Someone who needs what you gave me." "Tell me about her." Claire explained the broken car, the exhausted single mother, the struggling life. "Sounds familiar," Vincent said with warmth in his voice. "It does, and I want to help her the way you helped me." "Then do it. You know how. You've lived it." As Claire drove home, she thought about cycles and kindness, how one person's generosity could create ripples that spread wider than anyone could predict. 3 years ago, Vincent had helped her because someone had helped him. Robert Chen, the mechanic, fixing a stranger's car, which led to Vincent fixing Claire's car, which was now leading to Claire helping another stranger. The cycle continued. The kindness spread. All because people chose to help instead of ignore, to see potential instead of just problems, to invest in strangers who might become family. Claire smiled, thinking about the woman she'd just helped. Tomorrow she'd offer her a job. In a year, maybe that woman would help someone else. And the cycle would continue, spreading wider, touching more lives, proving that sometimes the best thing you can do with good fortune is share it. When Claire got home, Emma ran to hug her. "Mama, can Mr. Vincent come to my piano recital next week?" "I'm sure he'd love to. Why don't you call and ask him?" As Emma ran to find the phone, Claire thought about her daughter, growing up in a world where kindness was normal, where helping people wasn't strange, where the man, who'd saved their lives 3 years ago, was simply Uncle Vincent who came to piano recitals and remembered birthdays. This was the legacy Vincent had given them. Not just money or opportunity, but a model for how to live, with generosity, integrity, and the understanding that the most powerful thing you can do with success is share it with others. Later that evening, as Claire tucked Emma into bed, her daughter asked, "Mama, why is Mr. Vincent so nice to us?" Claire thought about how to answer. "Because a long time ago, when our car broke down and we needed help, he chose to help us instead of ignoring us, and that changed our lives. Will we help someone else someday? We already are, and we'll keep doing it." "Good," Emma said sleepily, "because helping people is the best thing." As Claire turned out the light, she thought about how a 7-year-old child understood something that took many adults a lifetime to learn, that helping others wasn't just morally right, it was the point of having resources in the first place. And all of this, the understanding, the generosity, the cycle of kindness, had started with a broken car, a smoking engine, and a powerful man who chose to see a struggling mother instead of just an inconvenient stranger. Sometimes, Claire thought, the worst days become the best days. Sometimes strangers become family, and sometimes one act of kindness creates a ripple that spreads for generations.